Hi and welcome or welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. So today I am here with what might be like a 1-day or 2-day reading vlog, to be completely honest. I have the day off work today because I'm working on Saturday, and the way we work, that if you work Saturday, which is only like once a month or so, you get a day off to like compensate in the week. So it's currently Tuesday and I have got 1 day off and I'm planning on reading a lot today. It is currently 11:20, which is later than I thought it was, but that's fine. And I have a lot of reading that I want to get done. And I feel like it could make for quite an interesting reading vlog because I am hoping to actually get through quite a lot of books. All will become a little bit clearer later on. But I just wanted to show you a little bit of book mail that I received this morning and thought it would be cool to include this in this video. But anyway, the first one I got was The Christmas Wish by Lindsay Kelk, which I have not read. My boyfriend Mark has read, and this is a little gift for him, as he did want the finished copy. And I'm so glad that I got the finished copy because it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It has these like snowflake end papers, and then when you open it up, open up the dust jacket, it has these snowflakes on the cover, which is so cute, and it also has what I presume is her signature, which is pretty. And yeah, I really like this finished copy. We do have a proof copy, so thank you to Al at Harper Insider for sending me that, because Mark is a big Lindsay Kelk fan. I have read On a Night Like This by her, which I really enjoyed, and I do want to read more by her, but I might save this for next Christmas now. It is into February. The second one I got was it's just Song of Silver Flame Like Night by Amelia Wen Zhao, and this looks so pretty. I honestly just couldn't leave this behind, and it's a signed one as well. This also has very, very striking orange pages, which I think actually stained the inside of the box they came in, because the inside of the box was a little orange, so I'm gonna be careful with this, to be completely honest. But this also has very pretty spine, but nothing on the actual book. But yeah, that was some little book mail. I'm not gonna read the whole synopsis for this because it's just a quick mention, but at the top bit says, in a fallen kingdom, one girl carries the key to discovering the secrets of her nation's past and unleashing the demons that sleep at its heart. And the back of the Christmas Wish, to give you a little teaser, says, ever wished it could be Christmas every day, wish again. There you go, there's some little like teasers for those two. But anyway, on to the books that I would like to read. This is kind of for work. I'm reading these and I would like to get them read basically by Thursday, and it's now Tuesday. So, but 4 of them are picture books, so that's my first like goal for the day, is to read these, because I feel like I will bash these out super quickly. The first one is The Fairy Garden, which is by Georgina Buckthorn and illustrated by Isabella Mazzanati. This looks very, very cute. Then we have Gretel the Wonder Mammoth by Kim Hilliard, a story about overcoming anxiety. And we also have I Am Not a Prince, Be Proud to Be Yourself by Rachel Davis and Beatrix Hatcher. And the last one, The Missing Piece, a story about finding what makes you feel whole by Jordan Stevens and Beth Susanna. So yeah, I have those picture books, which I think will be the first ones to like tick off my list. Then I also have, I think the next one I'm going to dive into is Nura and the Immortal Palace by M.T. Khan, which I've been intrigued about for a while. And this I think is the first one that I'm going to dive into in this video, so after the picture books. So this one says, beware the glittering world. Nora has worked all her life in the Mika mines, or Misa, hoping to someday find a legendary buried treasure, the demon's tongue. But when a terrible accident traps her best friend Faisal underground, she determines to save him and crosses over into the magical and treacherous realm of the jinn. Also, this has such a cool cover on the front with the cutout. It says, welcome to a world of magic, splendour and trickery. Welcome to the world of the jinn. This sounds like it could be really, really cool. And then the other one I have to read, the last one, is The Book of Stolen Dreams by David Farr, which looks really, really pretty and also has like illustrations and stuff throughout this one. Like some of the pages are printed. I think they're like poems or something. I don't know. It looks really cool anyway. And also just want to give a quick shout out because I am reading this as part of the same thing, and I read this last night. This is Welcome to St. Helma Trans Teen Misadventure by Lewis Hancock, and this is like about Lewis reflecting on his life and him as a teenage girl, and it was so interesting, so raw, like everything is in this book, very, very, very well written, and I just thought it was brilliant. This is a graphic novel, a graphic memoir, and it was just like basically about him talking to his former younger self, and also talking about his relationship with the people around him, like his friends and his parents, and it was just absolutely beautifully done. I thought it was brilliant, and yeah, just read this, it was really, really good. Anyway, I am going to go and read these, and then I'll have a quick catch up with you before I read Nura and the Immortal Palace, or start that book. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I have read the 4 picture books I said I would read. I read these in like 10 minutes probably. But I thought I'd just quickly have a little chat because it's something different. Like I don't read a lot of kids or like little kids picture books, so I thought we could have a quick go through them. I was gonna add these to my like yearly reading challenge, but honestly they're not on, or like most of them are not on Goodreads or Storygraph, so anyway, the first one I read was The Missing Piece. This one was so sweet. So this one follows Sunny, who is trying to find the last jigsaw piece in this puzzle she's doing, and she ends up having this like journey around the neighbourhood, meeting friends and people, and all of the double page spreads like have like different colours, which is really pretty, and they have like completely different atmospheres, but the drawing's obviously quite consistent, so it works quite well. It had a really lovely moral to it, and I really like this. This one might be my favourite one out of the 4 that I read. I then read I Am Not a Prince, which was so cute. Like the moral behind this one as well is like this frog feeling like they are not a prince, and they don't identify as a male frog, and it was just lovely, very well done. I didn't like personally, I preferred the writing style of The Missing Piece, but this one is more of like a fun rhyming one with a lot more colours in it, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Like I love the moral behind this, it was very good, but yeah, very different. Then I read Gretel the Wonder Mammoth. This one was so cute. Again, love the message behind this, that it's a story about overcoming anxiety, and it's about Gretel finding like these other mammoths around her when she's feeling very lonely and she's feeling very withdrawn. It's adorable. Very much love the message of having like all these other animals behind her. And the drawing in this one, I think the illustration in this is my favourite out of all of them. I just thought this was beautifully done. And I love Gretel. Love Gretel so much. Honestly, some of these I could have these as prints on my wall. And talking of, the last one I read, The Fairy Garden, this one was so cute as well. Some of the illustration, like the character and face design, I wasn't as keen on in this one. But some of these double page spreads are beautiful. Let me find my favourite one. Like this is just stunning. And this one I just think was absolutely beautiful. Very, very cute. And also, so this one's about a girl trying to find fairies in this garden. But also this is published by Ivy Kids, who print their books on recycled paper, which is so cool. Also print in the UK, so it hasn't travelled as far, and obviously the carbon footprint isn't as high, and it feels different to a lot of picture books, but it feels completely like fine. Like it feels like good. I like the paper and stuff, and I just think that's a really, really cool thing that Ivy Kids are doing, that it's sustainably printed in the UK as well. I think that's really cool. So yeah, read those 4 picture books, enjoyed my little foray into the kids book world, and I am now starting Nura and the Immortal Palace, which I have read 40 pages of so far. I feel like I need to get into this one a bit more. I feel like I haven't really gone into the story that much as of right now, but I could get there. I just feel like I'm not as immersed in the story right now, and I'm not really like picturing them too much, but I'm sure it will, like maybe something will click as we go on, but we will see. So yeah, I'm gonna go read more of this one. Hi, it's the evening and I finished New Around the Immortal Palace. I did do sprints earlier, which was really helpful and enabled me to read the last like 70 pages of this. Also, I apologise for the terrible lighting. I am just being lazy and not getting my ring light out, but anyway, I don't want to be blinded before bed. But anyway, I did finish this one. I've rated it 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I feel like I wanted it to be a little bit more engaging for middle grade. I think I do set a really high bar with middle grade, because I think it just needs to be like so captivating and engaging for the audience that it's aimed at. I think to get kids interested, like it needs to be really, 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 really good. So I feel like I do set a little bit like a higher expectation on middle grade than maybe I should. And also like kids are so different. Obviously people are so different. But like kids' reading tastes are so different, even though like maybe I wasn't as captivated. I'm sure there is so many children out there that would be captivated and have been captivated by this story. But yeah, I did like it, but it wasn't like amazing, if that makes sense. And I just felt like I didn't feel as present within the world as I wanted to. It is very atmospheric and I thought the concept behind it was really cool and there was a lot that I liked about it, but yeah, I didn't feel as in the moment with it as I wanted to, and I couldn't quite figure out why, because this is written in the first person. I was wondering if it was written in the third person and that's why I wasn't connecting with it, but it is written in first person, so I don't really know, but I did enjoy it. It was just like, yeah, it was a 3-star, which is still a good rating. Just didn't impress me as much as I wanted to. But I have also started reading the Book of Stolen Dreams. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. I read the first 120-ish pages in sprints and I'm definitely enjoying the story so far. It feels quite complex for a middle grade. It honestly has reminded me of Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, but like a middle grade version, and I love that. I feel like it's the level that I want of that book, because it's very like mysterious and there is like this mystery element to it where we're following what's happening to this book. And there is also like these two children are trying to hide this book that their dad's given them that he wrote that has dreams in it, like written down in it. And it also has this like whole plot element with the president of the country trying to like find this book. And there's like this whole underground thing where they don't like the president and he's not good. He like bans books and, by the sounds of it, children as much as he can. So it's got these really interesting undertones, but I've already put it in my bag to take to work tomorrow. So anyway, I am going to leave this here for this evening, but I will continue this vlog because I would quite like to wrap up the Book of Stolen Dreams in this vlog, hopefully over the next few days. So I'm not quite going to wrap up the vlog yet, because I do want to give you my like full thoughts and feelings on that. So hopefully I can read that fairly quickly and get those thoughts and feelings to you and wrap up this vlog soon. But for now, it's nighttime, it's bedtime. Good night. Hello, welcome to the end of this vlog. It is in reality about a week later, but I wanted this to be like a short one-day vlog, so I haven't been vlogging in between. I just thought I would wait until I finished the book that I was currently reading, update you guys on this, and then wrap up this vlog. So as it's a week later, I've had a few little bits of book mail. Both of these are from HarperCollins. I can finally openly talk about HarperCollins books again because the strike, the union actually reached mediation last week and the workers are going back on Monday. I am so proud of everybody involved for speaking out for what they believe in and what they need, and this is just what, unfortunately, it's what publishing needs. Like, it sucks that this is what publishing needs, and it's so sad that this is what the industry is like. But like, you guys have been fighting for so long that I'm just so glad that they've reached a point where they feel like there has been an agreement met. And yeah, I'm very, very proud of everybody involved. But anyway, I have received a few books from HarperCollins. HarperCollins in the UK gives me like probably like 90% of my proof copies, I'm not gonna lie. And I do love Elle, who works there and provides me with most of these proof copies. But the first one I got is Must Love Books. Honestly, fittingly, both of these books are about the publishing industry, and I think one more than this one, which you will see in a minute, does actually discuss a lot of the problems in the publishing industry. Some of you may know which book I'm talking about, but this one also looks like it is a big part of the publishing industry because it says, meet Nora Hughes, that the overworked, underpaid, last bookish assistant standing, at least for now. And I think it's kind of a romance between her and Andrew Santos, who is a best-selling author, who is thrown into Nora's life, and she must decide where her loyalties lie and whether she's ready to choose herself and her future over her job. So yeah, this one looks like it's going to be really cool, very excited. It has been blurbed by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is very exciting. Yeah, very excited for that one. How many times can I say exciting? The other one, which may come as no surprise to some of you from what I just said, is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, which I'm sure like a lot of you guys will have heard this talked about everywhere at the moment. And this is R.F. Kuang's foray into like fiction. I've heard very, very good things about this, and it sounds so interesting, the concept behind this. And this is also talking about publishing as an industry. This comes out on the 25th of May. And I actually think, sorry, this is being published under Rebecca Kuang. So there isn't a synopsis on my proof copy, but from what I remember, and I'm reading now, this book is following June Hayward and Athena Liu, who were supposed to be twin rising stars. They both had the same year at Yale and the same debut year in publishing, but Athena's a cross-genre literary darling, and June didn't even get a paperback release. Nobody wants stories about basic white girls, June thinks. But then June witnesses Athena's death in a freak accident and acts on impulse, stealing Athena's just finished masterpiece, an experimental novel about the unsung contributions of Chinese labourers to British and French war efforts during World War One. June then edits Athena's novel and then sends it to her agent as her own work. What if she lets her new publisher rebrand her as Juniper Song, complete with an ambiguously ethnic author photo? Why is that so hard to say? Doesn't this piece of history deserve to be told, whoever the teller? That's what June claims, and the New York Times bestseller list seems to agree. But June can't get away from Athena's shadow, and emerging evidence threatens to bring June's stolen success down around her. As June races to protect her secret, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. So yeah, this obviously discusses diversity, racism, cultural appropriation, and the publishing industry, and it feels like this is going to be hard-hitting. I think it's not going to be the easiest read, but I feel like it could be incredible. And I'm very honoured to have received a proof copy, but this is so different to everything else in this video, these two books, because the rest of the video I can actually announce now that I have been reading the Waterstones Children's Book Prize for 2023. So when I started this video, the shortlist hadn't been publicly announced, so I couldn't tell you guys that's what I was reading for, and I didn't know or forgot that was actually going to be announced like the next day. So I can tell you now, all these random children's books that I've been reading are not random at all, and I have been reading the shortlist for the Waterstones Children's Book Prize. I also read part of the long list because I work for Waterstones, and I was one of the people who was reading the long list and voting on my favourites. And you don't actually have to read, like, I didn't have to read the entire shortlist, but I didn't realise that. And by the time I realised that, I had read quite a few of them, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to carry on and read the entire shortlist because I had them all. And I'm glad I did, because I feel like this has been a really, really interesting, like, I don't read that much kids stuff. I read some middle grade and I read YA still, but like to actually read a proper selection, curated selection like that, really opened my eyes to some of the amazing work that's out there that I wouldn't necessarily go for. So I'm actually really glad that I did. And I just thought I could actually end this video now by talking to you about my entire thoughts and feelings on the entire shortlist, which is like 6 books in each category. So there's 18 books. So I'm going to go through this quite quickly because I'm aware that there is quite a lot to get through. I don't own a lot of these books anymore because I have like passed them on to other people so they can enjoy them, and children so they can enjoy them. But I just thought, let's go through and I will give you a bit of my thoughts and feelings. As I was reading this at the start of this vlog, I will just give you like my quick overview of this because I won't go in depth about the entire shortlist. I did enjoy this. It was quite complex for a middle grade. I feel like this tackled some really important issues that I didn't expect from this book, and it really did have that reflection of like The Shadow of the Wind or like Cloud Cuckoo Land, like this kind of literary hard-hitting kind of discussions about the real world. It was very interesting. I feel like it's one of those middle grades that I'm not sure how many, like, I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm not going to say I struggled to follow this, but in places I struggled to follow this, and I feel like this would have really gone over my head at the age that it's appropriate for. But also, like, I didn't read fantasy growing up. I was not a fantasy reader. I was a big Jacqueline Wilson fan and then Kathy Cassidy fan, so I was very much like contemporary, real life stuff. So I feel like a fantasy reader that has grown up reading fantasy could really, really love this. So yeah, really interesting book, and definitely very adventurous, and I liked the relationship between the brother and sister and the friends that were in here, and it tackled some really interesting concepts. It was really cool, but yeah, just feel like it was quite long and quite complex for a middle grade, but that's not to say that there isn't children out there who would absolutely love that. So, you know, we're all different. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts and feelings on that. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. But let's go through the shortlist, and I will tell you my favourite of each category and what I actually voted for, if I can remember. So yeah, I will tell you that, but I won't be like necessarily ranking them. But the first one is the illustrated book shortlist, which is the children's picture books. The first one being The Station Cat, which was a very, very sweet story about this cat that lives in a train station and the people that the cat meets. I read this one before Christmas and it was very, very sweet. I really enjoyed it. But it was told in a very different way than the other picture books. It had like proper full kind of, it had the most words. It was quite a lot of like poetry it was written in, and like rhyming, which was interesting in comparison to the others. Then the second one I read these two first anyway, was What Do You See When You Look at a Tree by Emma Carlisle, which was the only non-fiction on here, and this was following kind of about trees and teaching children about trees, and is also a Kew publication and was kind of centred around Kew Gardens, which I really liked, having visited there fairly recently. And I actually voted for this one because I really, really liked it. I thought it was beautifully done, and I liked that it actually had this, like, at the end there was stuff that you could actually do with your child, which was really nice to kind of support the living world. The next one was I Am Not a Prince, Be Proud to Be Yourself, which was really, really cool. I really like this. This was the bright, so like bright, one of the, like, these all have kind of different feelings to them. This one was the kind of very eye-catching, very brightly coloured, not really very gentle, just like very out there, which I really liked, and kind of in your face but in the best way. Very proud. I thought that was really, really brilliant. Gretel the Wonder Mammoth, which was the next one, loved the illustrations and loved the discussions of anxiety around this. I found it very relatable as an adult, and it was very, very sweet. It was so cute. And the next one was the Fairy Garden, which I did show you a few of these earlier in the video. Had absolutely beautiful illustrations. Really, really like the drawings in here, although the faces creep me out a bit. Don't know why. And it was just a very sweet story. And then the last one was The Missing Piece, which was such a beautiful story, like so beautiful. Feel like that one was up there for me. I think that was just so sweet. It was about this kid who had lost a jigsaw piece, and she went round the village basically talking to people like, have you seen my jigsaw piece, kind of thing, can we find it together, and finding something she was missing in her friends and the people around her. And it just had such a lovely metaphor, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then the younger readers shortlist, which I actually have read. I'd already read one of these before I found the shortlist and before the long list I think was even announced, which I will get to. The first one is Book of Stolen Dreams by David Farr, which, as you know, I just finished this one, and I did enjoy this. I enjoyed all of these books for their own, like, individual things. I thought they were all brilliant in their own way, and I feel like they will all have so many fans out there, and so many children who are absolutely going to love immersing themselves in these pages, which is why I have loved reading for the Children's Book Prize. But yeah, this one was a fantasy choice, following the two siblings and this magic book, and also like tackles that there is this president who is this cruel, all-powerful person who's trying to control specifically the children in this land. Which was really, really interesting book. Glad I read it, and also has some very pretty illustrations throughout here as well, like this, which was cool. So that was the first one. The next one was Nura and the Immortal Palace, which I did enjoy, but I feel like having read this a few weeks ago, it kind of went over my head, and I did struggle to get into it quite a bit. It took me quite a while, but it was very interesting. It follows this like magical world of Jinn, and also at the start more like mining for this, can't remember what it was for, the Mica mines, and it's set in modern day Pakistan and then into the world of the Jinn, and it's following Nura as she follows her best friend into this world. Very, very interesting, very atmospheric, and very kind of vibrant as a story. I really enjoyed that one, but I did find it quite hard to get into, and I feel like it did kind of go over my head a bit. But again, I'm sure like some children it will be their favourite book. The next one I read was Small by Hannah Moffat, which was completely different to anything I've ever read, I would say, but I actually loved it. It was I think it's for 5 to 8. I think it's one of the younger books, I would say, on this list. And it was following this kid who is a small in a world of giants, and he goes to this giant school, and it was so fun. Like, it was so adventurous and so fun, and it also had this moral behind it that was really well done, and I thought it was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. And then the one I actually read before the Children's Book Prize was even announced this year was The Last Firefox by Lee Newberry, and this is definitely the one that stayed with me. And I did actually vote for it because I loved this book when I read it so much. It's so good. It's about this kid who finds this magical fox, and it was just beautiful. It's about friendship and family and love, and it was so good. Like, if there is one I would recommend off this list, it is one of the ones that is really up there, and I had to vote for it because it is just beautiful. And the next one was AJ and the Mumbai Sun. This one was about a kid called AJ who starts this newspaper, basically to put focus on the fact that the local slums are going to be redeveloped. So he starts this newspaper with his friends. This one was very adventurous but very real. It's obviously set in the real world and puts focus on these real issues that are happening in AJ's world as well. And it does focus on these really important issues like social injustice and political corruption, but makes it really like approachable for a child to read, and still really adventurous and interesting as well. And the last one was the Lizzie and Belle Mysteries, Drama and Danger, which I really haven't covered in this at all. I don't think I've really talked about this one at all in any of my vlogs. But that one was by J.T. Williams, and it followed these two young girls who are trying to find out what's happening to one of their dads when he had an attempted murder on stage in the local production of Othello. I think it was Othello. And they basically become best friends and try and find out what's happening and what happened to her dad, or what might have happened to her dad. So these are two 12-year-old black girls who are living in London in the 18th century. And it also does discuss that in a really approachable way. Like, there was a conversation between the family that really blew me away. I thought that was brilliant. I listened to this one on audiobook, and I love the mystery element of it. I thought it was really interesting and also had some really important themes as well. So yeah, really enjoyed that one too. And then we get on to the older readers shortlist. Again, I read one of these pre the announcement of the long list, and I read a couple of these, or one of these, in the long list, and then the rest I read more recently. Do have a few more of these actually next to me. This one I have had since I had this proof copy, so before the long list was even announced, which is All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown, which I really enjoyed. This is a post-apocalyptic book following Jamie and Andrew, who are strangers, and they bump into each other in this post-apocalyptic landscape where there is not many people left after this virus. It was so good. Like, I really didn't expect this to be so good. But I really fell for Jamie and Andrew's story, and I thought it was super interesting. Obviously, reading about this, like, virus after a pandemic is quite a subject to tackle, and writing it must have been quite an experience. And it is addressed in an author's note at the end. But yeah, I really love this. Like, it was really good. So much about this that was just really good and kept me gripped, and I wanted to know what was going to happen. And I thought it was brilliantly done. I listened to this one on audiobook as well. And yeah, really enjoyed it. Very good pick. The next one was The Cats We Meet Along the Way, and this was actually the one that I voted for because I loved it. I feel like I've talked about this in a few vlogs already, but this was following... This is again like post-apocalyptic, but it's following Aisha, who hasn't seen her sister in a long time because her sister ran away, and she essentially goes to find her sister with her family and with her boyfriend's family. It's a younger teen, I would say, but it has like the adventure of a middle grade, and like it's a YA, but it also is written kind of like literary fiction. Absolutely beautiful, but so easy to read. And just some of the quotes in here blew me away, and I just really love this. I gave it 5 stars. I couldn't put it down, but thought it was beautifully done, and has some really nice little illustrations in here as well, as the chapter headings are so cute. And yeah, I loved it, and obviously there is cats. The next one I read was Ellie Peely is Brown, and this one I didn't expect to enjoy that much because it felt like it could be quite cliche as a YA, but it was really good. It's basically about Ellie Peely, who wants to be cool and is getting to that point in her life where like stuff's happening at school and she feels like she's kind of missing out and she's the odd one out. Really interesting, and it also has music in here. Like, the audiobook plays songs that are original to the book, I presume, and they are also in QR code form in the book, which I've never seen before and I thought was really cool. And this one was also told with some text and stuff as well. I listened to this one on audiobook too quite a while ago now, but yeah, I did enjoy this more than I expected to. The next one I do have a copy of, but it's on the shelf over there, is If You Still Recognise Me by Cynthia So, which I read last summer with Courtney on our little holiday. This one was so good. It's a queer romance between Elsie, and it also follows, well, I'm going to say it's between Elsie and somebody else, and it's following Elsie, who has a crush on Ada, who is the only person in the world who she feels truly understands her but lives in a different country and they have never met. And then also there is like more people that she meets along this story. It was beautifully written, discusses love in this amazing way, and me and Courtney just both absolutely fell in love with it. It was so good, really enjoyable. So yeah, that one was very much high up there. If I hadn't have read and absolutely loved The Cats We Meet Along the Way, If You Still Recognise Me would have been up there as well. And the next one was Once Upon a Fever, and this one was really interesting. I think I listened to part of this on audio if I remember rightly, but I read this as part of the long list, so it's been a while since I read it. But this one, again, is following a fever. It's following these two sisters who live in London, and the world has fallen sick with this fantastical illness, and they live in this hospital. They've grown up in this hospital. Peyton, one of the sisters, wants to be a medic like her, or a methic. Some of the words are different, but it's set in kind of fictional London, who is working on this cure to wake her mother, who is in this sleeping fever. Annie, her sister, thinks that the remedy for all illnesses must be found in the green wilderness beyond the hospital walls, and they kind of go on this adventure across London. Or I can't remember what, I think it might be called London. It's London inspired, and it has this like fantasy that feels kind of like a younger V. Schwab, Dark Shade of Magic, Neil Gaiman type of like magic. Really, really interesting, and I really liked reading their story. And last but not least, we have Welcome to St. Hell, My Trans Teen Misadventure by Lewis Hancock, which I loved. Like, this was a very close second to my vote, and I may have voted for it, so I gave both of them 5 stars, so I can't remember which one I voted for. It was brilliant, so good, so raw, so poignant, but also just written with warmth and heart, and it's about Lewis speaking to his younger self, his teen self, as he's finding out who he really is, and just going through this journey, this gender affirming journey. And it was just so beautifully done, and I felt like I had goosebumps when I read it. It was brilliantly done, and brilliantly approached in this graphic novel format as well. I didn't know how that would work, but it worked amazingly, and it was just amazing. I would encourage everyone to read it, because it's one that I think a lot of teens will find themselves reflected in their pages, maybe for the first time ever in fiction, in books, but it will also have this like level of understanding from cis people. I just think it was brilliant. I just thought it was amazing, and I think, yeah, everyone should read it. Anyway, what a book to end on, because I think that is just reflective of the Children's Book Prize this year, which is an incredible list of fiction for children and young adults, and I think it was just absolutely brilliant. Last year, The Last Bear won, which was Hannah Gold's absolutely amazing, beautiful story about a young girl who is friends with a bear, and I love that book too so much. Yeah, and then the previous one was A Kind of Spark as well. A Kind of Spark is one of the best books, and best middle grades I've ever read. There's just so many good books in this list, and the past prizes as well. Anyway, I've been talking for far too long, but I hope you enjoyed what was unexpectedly all of my thoughts and feelings on the Waterstones Children's Book Prize Shortlist 2023. This has been such an interesting thing to be a part of, and is one of the best parts of the job, and I'm really glad that I've managed to read all of these books just about within the time frame to vote for my favourites. But anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of this video, and I will see you next time in another video. Bye.